In 1.3, we'll look at some story problems. Here's a general strategy for how to look at it. The biggest thing that I would say is that tables or pictures can be really helpful. So let's look at the first example. In this example, we've inherited $5,000, but we have to put our money into two different funds. And we want to know how much we invest in each of the funds if our interest for the year was $487. So the first thing is that we're talking about interest, and we need to know that interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Principal is the amount you put in. Rate needs to be put in as a decimal, and time is measured in years. So let's write that the opposite way. Let's write principal times rate times time equals interest. And this is going to be our table for this problem. We have two accounts. We have a 9% interest account, and we have an 11% interest account. So that's going to be our rate. That's going to make this be 0.09 and 0.11. Remember to put that in as a decimal. We do 9 divided by 100 and 11 divided by 100. That changes a percent into a decimal. Our time, we say, for 1 year. And then here again it says first year. So now let's talk about that principal. We're not putting all 5,000 into any one spot. In fact, we're not really sure how much we're putting into the 9,000, right? Or the 9%, because that's what it's asking, is how much did you invest? So let's just call that X. But if we have 5,000 total, let's say that we put 2,000 in the 9%. Well, to find how much we have left, we would do 5,000 minus 2,000, and we would get 3,000 left. Or if we put 1,000 in the 9%, we'd do 5,000 minus 1,000 to find the 4,000 left. So if we don't know how much we put into this 9% account, then we would need to do X, but then the 11% account would be 5,000 minus X. So to find the interest, this formula tells us what we do. We take all of those things, we multiply them together, and we get the interest. So X times 0.09 times 1 would be 0.09X. Here, this 5,000 minus X needs to be in parentheses. So when we multiply all of that together, we get 0.11, parentheses, 5,000 minus X. So this is the interest rate from the 9% account, or the interest amount, the interest. This is the interest amount from the 11% account. And we know that we got a total interest of 487. So that total interest is saying that we would add those two together. So we'd have 0.09x plus 0.11 times 5,000 minus x, and that would give us 487. So give me a minute, let me clean up my screen, and we'll write that at the top and we'll solve it. So here we go. I wanted to leave this information over here because we're going to need it in the end to answer our questions. So here's our equation. I'm going to draw my line down there. The first thing we need to do is distribute to get rid of those parentheses. So I'm going to copy the 0.09x plus, and then in my calculator, I would do 0.11 times 5,000, and I get 550. And then 0.11 times x would be 0.11x, and that equals 487. Then I would combine like terms. I've got this and this that both have x's. So I would copy that 550 first. 0.09 minus 0.11 would be negative 0.02x. And then I would subtract 550 from each side. It cancels out over here. So I have negative, don't forget that negative in front of the number, don't lose it. And 487 minus 550 is negative 63. And then I would divide both sides by negative 0.02. And when I do that, I get x is equal to 3150. So then let's go back. We have to make sure we answer the question. The question says, how much did you invest at each rate? So I have x equals this. Well, I have to remember what x stood for. That's another reason why this table was important. And so here, and that's why I left this, it tells me that x was the 9% amount. So in 9% account, I invested 3,150. Well, I had 5,000 total to start with, and that's what this said right here. So if I take 5,000 and I subtract the 3,150 that I put into that account, the 9% account, I'm left with 1,850 for the 11% account. So the 11% account had 1,850. And those are my answers. Let's look at another problem. So here I just wanted to let you know that you can find your area and volume perimeter formulas on page 123 of your book. Your book is also online under textbook resources, so if you are looking for something and you didn't get the book, you can still look that up in My Labs Plus. So this talks about a rectangular basketball court. So let's draw a rectangle. And it says that the length is 44 feet more than the width. Well, I would call this width and this length. So let me call the width x, and that means the length is x plus 44 because it says 44 feet more than the width. If this side's x, that means this side is x. If this side's x plus 44, that means this side is x plus 44. And the perimeter is just adding up all of those sides. So I would have x plus 44 plus x plus 44. So that's four sides added together to give me 288 feet. I'm going to combine like terms. I've got x plus x plus x plus x. So that gives me 4x. And then 44 plus 44, so that gives me plus 88, equals 288. So now I'm going to subtract 88 from both sides. That cancels that out. So I got 4x equals 200. Divide both sides by 4. And I get x equals 50. Now again, we have to go back and say, did we answer the question? It says, what are its dimensions? That means it wants both sides. X is 50 and x was our width. We labeled it right here. So we know that our width is 50, and these are all measured in feet. So 50 feet. And that means our length is right here, x plus 44 would be 50 plus 44 would be 94 feet. So those are two answers. This problem, it wants us to solve, let me write it out a little bigger. It wants us to solve for w's. This is called a literal equation. You don't have to know that, but that a literal equation just means that there's more than one letter in the equation. And we want w by itself. Well, we do this the same way we've done all the other problems. If we want w by itself, we have to start with the other piece in that problem. This is 2l. It's positive because that's what sign is before it. So I would subtract 2l from both sides. That would cancel this out. And that leaves me with p minus 2l equals 2w. This side I just write like I see it. The p was there first, so it's written first, and then minus 2l. Then I need to divide by the number that's in front of the w. So this side I would just write as p minus 2l over 2 equals w. Let's do one more of those. So here I want to get C by itself, but if you notice, C is in two places. It's here and here. So the first thing we have to do is factor it out so that it's only in one place. So I'm going to write the C in front, and then I'm going to write parentheses. So then I ask myself, C times what gives me this first C? Well, I need to have a 1 there in order to hold that spot. And then C times what over here would give me MC. Well, there's an M there. So now if I want to get C by itself, I want to leave C there. It's C times this 1 plus M. So I would divide by 1 plus M on both sides. That cancels all of that out together. Because it's addition or subtraction, it has to be glued together with parentheses. It has to be moved all at the same time. That leaves me C by itself. This side I just copy as 1P over 1 plus M. And of course, on both of these, you can write it the other way. You can switch the sides. C equals P over 1 plus M. And that's that section.